Today we're going to be working on a 2007, it's a Subaru Legacy. We're going to be replacing the rear brake rotors and the rear brake pads. So I'll show you a couple of tools that you're going to need, and I'm going to show you the process I'm going to go through to remove everything and put it back together. So let me show you some tools you're going to need. Okay, what you're basically going to need is you're going to need just some basic hand tools, nothing crazy. This is to push the piston back in the caliper, just in case you have to push it in. We're going to need a 14mm socket, a couple of different extensions because of where the bolt is actually located in the back. We're going to need these bolts here to possibly screw in here to get this rotor off the car, because you can see it's extremely oxidized on here. Screwdriver, a ratchet, and a 14mm wrench, and just another wrench to hold the adjusters in the back right up underneath here. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to get in here with the screwdriver. We're going to put the screwdriver in right through here. I'll show you. The screwdriver goes in right through the back right here until it comes out right in there. And then you just hold slight pressure like that, and you recess the piston all the way back into the bore as far as it'll go. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take out this screw here, 14mm, and we're going to take this one out also. This one you're going to need to use a wrench on it because you can't get in here because of the angle right here. So we're going to take this out with a wrench, and we're going to take this out, we're going to take the caliper off, and then we'll take out the other screws in the back. So let's get started, and we'll see how it goes. You put a screwdriver in the back right between the brake pad and the caliper, and you slowly pry it until you push the piston all the way back into the bore. Once it's pushed back into the bore, you just make sure it slides properly, which it does, and then we're going to remove those two bolts up underneath here. It's 14mm, the top as well as the bottom. We're just going to break them loose and take them out. Remember I told you about here, just the angle it's at, it makes it a little bit difficult to get in there. So you can break it loose, but you may need a wrench to get it out the rest of the way. You'll see. No, coming right out. Alright, so unscrew these bolts all the way, and then we're going to take that caliper off. Don't lose these bolts because you're going to need to reuse them again when we put this back together. Alright, so we just relocate that up to the side for now, just to get it out of our way. And then what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you underneath here. We're going to get in here with a the bolts that we need to get out are actually right up inside here, and the other one is inside over there. As you can see, you can't get in there with a normal ratchet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 14mm socket, we're going to put it on the extension, and we're going to get in here with an extension onto it like that, and then we'll break it loose and take it out, and we're going to do the same thing on the bottom right over here also. So let me do that, and we'll see how that goes. Once you break it loose, you can usually get them out by hand. Let's see how it goes. Because we're going to need to reuse that. And we're going to take the bottom one out too. Get your extension in there. Break that loose. like that. And then the way you get the rotor off the car is, one, you can hit it with a hammer and try to knock it off, or you can just screw a bolt into that little hole that I showed you before. Screw the bolt in and you tighten it up and it comes right out. Instead of beating on it with a hammer and possibly missing and doing some damage, I always take it off with a bolt unless it's very loose. And as you can see, it pulls it right off. Right? We'll take it off. And we're going to discard this. We don't need it. We'll get a new one. And let's grab the new rotor, and we can start putting this job back together. Okay. We'll grab our new rotor. It just slides right over the top, nice and tight. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the brake pads off that were in here. And obviously we're going to, with this one, we're going to change the hardware right here. And the way you get the hardware out is just pull it and it comes right out. Same thing here. It comes right out, and we're going to replace these. The way you replace them is just put the new hardware on. You take it and you push it, and it locks right in just the way it's supposed to be, like that. All right, next thing we're going to do, put the other one on here like this too, and push it in place like that, locks it right in. Okay, and then we're going to lubricate all of the slide pins on here. Anything that slides, we're going to lubricate. We use a brake silicone that's made specifically for this. And what you're going to do is you're going to, wherever you take the slide pin out, it's got to go back in the same spot. So you put some brake lubricant on it, you put it back in, push it all the way down, make sure that rubber boot comes back up on where it's supposed to. And we do the same thing on this side here. Put some brake grease on here, put it back in here like this, and you see that slides right back up. All right, next thing we're going to do is grease everywhere that the brake pad is going to touch. Put a good amount of grease on it, like that. All right, and then we're going to mount that the bracket back on like this here, and we'll put those screws in the back. But before I do that, I just want to get one of the brake pads in there, make sure it slides the way it's supposed to. Perfect. What I always do is, it makes it a little bit easier, is put the brake pads in here. And the reason I'm going to show you why, then you slide it over the top here. And then you just squeeze the brake pads and it holds your mounting bracket so you can go underneath it and put your screws in. Now remember those screws, they were 14 millimeter. So we're going to reinstall those 14 millimeter screws to hold the mounting bracket onto the back of the knob. Let's grab my light. See what I'm doing here. And then you can just move this around as needed to get the bolts to line up. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to catch it by hand. Once we have it caught by hand, we're going to go back down to the bottom. We're going to get the bottom one caught too before we tighten the top one up all the way. Just going to put this up here for a second. And then we're going to catch the bottom one through here. And then you just move the caliper bracket back and forth until it lines up. And you screw that all the way in by hand. Alright. Once you have that in there, grab the ratchet, and we can tighten up You don't slip off and destroy your knuckles. Always be careful, open-fisted. Nice and tight. Okay. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that caliper back on, and we'll reinstall the bolts that we took out. Now, I just want to show you this also. Sometimes you need to push the piston back in a little bit further because it didn't push in far enough. If that's the case, they sell a tool like this, and basically what you do is you put your pad here, you put your pad there, and then this tool goes right in between the two of them, like that, and then you tighten it, and it'll push the piston all the way back into the bore. Sometimes you have to go just a little bit more. It pushes all the way in, and you can take your tool back off. And we're going to lay our caliper back in the way it came out. With these slide pins here, just push them in so you can get the caliper over the top of it. And then we'll put these bolts back in that we previously took out. Screw them in by hand first, as far as you can by hand. Now we can try to tighten these up. Sometimes you'll run into a little bit of a problem where these slide pins actually rotate. What you do is you grab a wrench and you hold it with a wrench like this, and then you can tighten up the bolts all the way tight. Nice and tight. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Hold it with a wrench, and then tighten the nut all the way in down on the bottom. Tighten it up, nice and tight. All right. Okay, so let's just go over a couple of things, make sure we have everything done the way it's supposed to be. All right, we have our rotor on. We have our caliper mounting bracket put into the back of the car. It's bolted through, and both of those 14mm bolts are tight. We have the brake pads in place. We have new brake hardware in place. We lubricated every place that the brake pad touches. We lubricated our slide pins right here. We made sure that these bolts in the back here, these 14mm are tight. And that's it, we're all set. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go around the other side, of course, and we're going to change everything on the other side. And now before you drive the car, make sure you pump the brake pedal up, because you want to have that piston in here push back out so it's a nice firm pedal, because you can see there's a little bit of play inside there. So you have to pump it a couple of times to get a firm pedal. All right, let's wrap up the other side and get this job out the door. All right, thanks for watching. Any help you need with it, drop me a line. Be more than happy to talk to you about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.